everyone, welcome back to WCB Jazz Vinyl. So the topic for today is recent finds. So I actually just got back from a trip to New York City, went into a bunch of shops, got some great stuff, and I just kind of wanted to run down the list, show you what's still out there, right? What's still available in stores that you can actually go and pick up out of the shelves or sometimes off the wall and actually purchase, as opposed to all this online stuff that I've typically been doing otherwise. So before we get into it, as always, go ahead and hit like. You can hit subscribe if you'd like as well, and of course you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at what_can_brown. So what brought me to New York may be of mild interest as well, simply because it's related to this vinyl hobby. So I was on a radio program on WKCR, basically presenting 5 hours of music from the Three Blind Mice label. So this involved me carting up like 30 records. Bringing them to New York on a plane, hauling them through the city, and preparing essentially a needle drop set list on Columbia University's WKCR. And we did that on Sunday from 2 to 7. I've done this in the past, and I've referenced it in the past as well, that I've curated a Bethlehem Records playlist. I did a Riverside one, and this time it was the Japanese label Three Blind Mice. So the program that I did this on is called Labeled, and it is presented by the two co-owners of JMI Recordings. Great label, and it's always fun to meet up with those guys and do these types of radio programs. It's an absolute blast to be in a radio station and just be hanging out listening to music, and we're already planning the next one, so pretty excited about that. But that was kind of the impetus for my trip to New York. But of course, every time I go to New York, I add another, at least an extra day, if not an extra 2 days, just so I can go around to the shops, so that I can check out restaurants. I ended up going into the vinyl listening bar called All Blues, which was a lot of fun. A little expensive, but it was a lot of fun. But let's get to, y'all are interested in the finds, and there were definitely some really stellar ones. I'm going to try to call out the stores that I got these at, in addition to showing you exactly what these are. And there's about a dozen of them, but I'll go through them fairly rapid fire. So firstly, the very first place that I visited was the Academy Annex. So Academy Records has several locations in New York, and they have one called Academy Annex, and that is located in Brooklyn. Always stop into this place, and I always find great stuff. And I went in, and sure enough, on the wall was a record I just didn't think I was going to be able to afford, and that was Earthy on Prestige Records. So this is, it's kind of like a Prestige All-Stars type of band format, in that you do have, who do you have on this, I suppose? So it's not like a Teddy Charles Prestige All Stars, so that's probably why it's not credited to the Prestige All Stars. But it kind of has that vibe, because there's it's not really one leader. It's kind of like everybody. But you have Kenny Burrell, Al Cohn, Art Farmer, Hal McCusick, Mal Waldron, Teddy Kotick, I think is how you pronounce that, and then Ed Thigpen. This is just one of those really, really tough records to find. I actually have had a copy for quite some time, but my copy was just not in great shape. This one was VG Plus, and I was really surprised that they had it at what I thought was an affordable price. Especially, so like in VG Plus, I don't know what folks out there would expect to pay, but it was priced at $250, and I got to be honest, I don't oftentimes spend that much money on a single record. These days, I just don't. I don't know. I don't go for the higher priced items. I wait for stuff to show up cheap. But $250 for this, and because I already had a copy that I'm in the process of creating a listing for on eBay that is just in much worse shape, to sort of offset it, I thought it was an easy decision to do. And as an aside, I'm actually prepping at least 100 listings on eBay. I think 60 of them or 50 plus of them are Blue Notes. There's some good stuff that it's in nice shape. There's also some stuff that's in challenge shape. But anyway, that'll be posting in the next I don't know, hopefully the next week or so. You should follow me on eBay. It's the same as this WCB Jazz Vinyl. You can find me there. So the other one I got at Academy Annex is a Savoy record that I've never owned a copy of, and it's Paul Bley's Footloose. And yeah, super cool. So it's Paul Bley on piano, Steve Swallow on bass, and Pete La Roca on drums. Um, yeah, this is kind of an interesting one in that I feel like a lot of the Savoy records have Rudy Van Gelder as the engineer, but this is a little bit later period, and it does not have Rudy Van Gelder. It has somebody named Paul Cady as the as the engineer. So yeah, pretty excited about this. Can't remember the exact price. The 250 for the Earthy stuck in my mind, but this was not very expensive. Earthy was on the wall. This was just in the bins. And Academy Annex, they don't have like high price things in the bins typically. So yeah, those were the two finds at Academy Annex. All right, so the next place that I visited is also a shop that I go in every single time that I go to New York. And they definitely just didn't disappoint. This is also perhaps the most famous jazz record store in the United States. Perhaps Jazz Record Center. I say perhaps because I know Princeton Record Exchange has sort of fame outside of the United States as well. They've been on the scene for a really long time as well. Always have great stuff. So anyway, there's like a couple of them, at least four jazz I think that are the most famous. But certainly Jazz Record Center is definitely up there, and we all know them for getting quite high prices on their eBay listings. Well, it turns out they do have some nice things in store as well. So encourage everybody to check them out. So the first record that I was able to get is Sonny Rollins and the Contemporary Leaders. So I've had a copy of this as well. My copy was not nice. This copy is very nice. It happens to be a second stereo. So the first stereo edition would have a black label Deep Groove. This one has the green label Deep Groove. But still, it was in such nice shape that it was a very easy decision for me to sort of ditch my, I don't know, like VG, probably more like VG minus mono copy that I had. So that'll show up on eBay as well. Lineup on this: Sonny Rollins, of course, Hampton Hawes, Barney Kessel, Leroy Vinegar, Shelly Manne, and Victor Feldman. And I think everybody knows this one because it was recently reissued in was it the Way Out West box set? Can't remember. I think it was something like that. So anyway, great to have a nice vintage copy of that. So they also had a number of records on the Contemporary label. In addition to that Rollins, they actually had some early stuff, and just in really really nice shape. I just couldn't even believe it. So this one is Lenny Niehaus, right? So Volume 5, the Sextet. Fantastic cover. I mean, look at how gorgeous it is. It looks like it's brand new, but it's an original pressing. So in addition to Lenny Niehaus, you have Bill Perkins, Jimmy Jeffrey, Stu Williamson, Buddy Clark, and Shelly Manne. So in addition to that one by Lenny Niehaus, we also have Lenny Niehaus Volume 3, and also just a absolutely stunning cover. I mean, the cover is stunning regardless of the condition, but the fact that it's in nice condition makes it even more stunning. Number of folks, including the ones that I just mentioned on this, a few others. Pete Jolly's on it, Bill Holman, Monty Budwig. But yeah, I've had a copy of this before, although I sold it a while ago because it was just G plus all around. I was in one of my moods to just get rid of stuff that was in lower quality because I had a bunch of placeholders, but guess what? I never spun them, so needed to go. So I got a new title. It was one that I missed when it was available, when Sam Records out of France first made this available, and everyone was talking up how great it sounded. And I just remembered that when I saw it new in the bins at JRC. So this is the Heath Brothers, Paris 1976. And I think a lot of people, when they hear this and they kind of see the lineup and everything, they think of the Strata East record, right? Because Stanley Cowell is on this, in addition to the Heath Brothers. So I've never heard it, but I'm excited to give it a listen again because everybody recommended it to me. All right, so the other two that I want to talk to you about are actually kind of connected, and that is because they both came from the same collection that Jazz Record Center purchased, and it is the vinyl collection from George Shearing, the blind piano player, jazz piano player, classical, played a variety of styles. And I thought it was super interesting that they had the opportunity to purchase that collection. I don't know all of what came out of it in terms of everything that I saw there in the stacks, but one of the things that was clear is that George Shearing's collection you could pick them out because he had actually printed braille stickers essentially, or strips on the covers, so that he could determine, so that he knew exactly what he had, and what he might be picking out. And so I thought that was kind of a cool. It was just kind of cool to know that they belonged to him and that he listened to them. And don't get me wrong, the two that I picked are not exactly ones that, I don't know, like maybe don't have like an extreme connection to him, because they're a little bit of departure from his music, and they're not with a piano player as the leader. But still, I felt like it was kind of cool to just be able to have a few items from his collection. I don't think that just because they were from his collection there was a price premium associated with it. So the two that I grabbed were, firstly, John Hammond Smith's Soul Talk. So Rusty Bryant, Wally Richardson, Bob Bushnell, and Bernard Purdy. As many of you know, I've been DJing locally, and this is exactly the kind of stuff that I like to spin, and I thought it was cool to have it, again, with the Braille strip, indicating that it's a good reminder to me as well of what what came out of his collection. So the next one is actually a record that I don't think I knew existed. And that's more and more unusual for me, especially in the jazz space. I just kind of feel like I know everything that's out there, especially on major labels. This is on Pacific Records, and I thought that I knew everything on it, but I had never seen Brass Samba before. So yeah, I thought that was a cool one to get, especially because I hadn't seen it. Love Bud Shank, love Claire Fisher. You got Joe Pass on it. I mean, there's some other folks. So you have Larry Bunker, Ralph Pena, Milt Holland, and Chuck Flores as well. But probably a bunch of sort of samba-inspired renditions of pieces. But I think done well, it can be very I think it can be great. And I think Bud Shank, when he's not doing overly commercial stuff, is an absolutely fantastic musician. Sounds great on Pacific Records. So, and again, the got the Braille strip as well. So pretty cool, I think. All right, so Human Head was up next. This is also a Brooklyn store, so similar to Academy Annex anyway. And they had some really, really nice stuff, like really high-end stuff. Like I went in there and I can't even, like, I think they had Roy Haynes's Cracklin' on the wall. What else did they have? There was like, I think they had like one of the Lee Morgan Blue Note like volumes on the wall as well. There was Hank Mobley. You know what, it was weird, is that it felt in a way like they had one of everything. Like I was just kind of flipping through everything, and I was like, it feels like they have an original of like every Jackie McLean Blue Note, and like every Donald Byrd, and like it was very interesting, not just of the selection, but you could like flip through the bins for it. Like I was flipping through the bins, and there was like a $600 record just in the bin. And then of course on the wall they had like, they had some stuff that was like $1,000, $1,500. So, I think the point is that they sort of they have very nice things, and they know what they have. This is also a store, I think, based on a specific collection that they purchased. There was a lot of stuff that was lesser shape, so you could actually buy an original pressing of something that otherwise is quite rare, but in a little bit lesser shape. And so it was just very interesting. It felt like I had to flip through everything, and there was a lot that I had to check condition on, and I was just kind of like, wow, I can't believe all this stuff is just in one store in the bins. You can actually touch. It was just surprising. So I ended up going for 3 records that I've never owned copies of, and maybe are a little bit sort of more on the unusual side, at least in terms of the type of stuff that I collect. But I'd never had an opportunity to buy or really see any of these in a store, so that was kind of exciting. So enough preamble. So I picked up 3 records, and 2 of them are by Tubby Hayes. So this is Tubby Hayes and his All Stars Return Visit on Fontana. And yeah, I mean, so let's kind of go over this. So there's Lewis Hayes is on it, Sam Jones, Walter Bishop Jr., Roland Kirk, and Jimmy Gloomy. Which of course would have to be James Moody. Yes, James Moody is on it as well. Funnily enough, probably for contractual issues. I don't know if he was playing with like Argo or something at the time. But anyway, recorded in New York, but on Fontana for the first time. I think then it was put out on a, I forget which label put it out. I think it might have been Smash or something like that. They put out a US version, but I think it's very cool to have the original Fontana mono edition of that. So in addition to that record, I found this other one by Tubby Hayes, and it is the Tubby Hayes Quintet live at the Ronnie Scott Club in London. Also original mono on Fontana Records. I think this one has a little bit more of a UK lineup that is not really referenced anywhere here, so I'll leave you to look that up for yourself. But again, never had an opportunity to own this. I actually don't know if this one was ever put out in the U.S. as well, so this may be the only way to hear it, at least in terms of like an original pressing. So the third one that I got is kind of an interesting one. I actually believe that this is on 16 RPM. So in 1957, Prestige put out like 5 or 6 records on 16 RPM. I've made a video about this whole series and the fact that I own all of them. So that when I said, oh, I don't own any of these, a little bit of a mistake, because technically I own this on 16 RPM, but how often do you play 16 RPM? So the first time it was released on 33 RPM was here. It's called Sugan, I believe. So Phil Woods with Red Garland, and originally on Status Records. So you also have Teddy Kotick, Nick Stabulus, and Ray Copeland on this. So I've talked a lot about the problems with Status Records in the past. So Status is the budget subsidiary of Prestige Records. They would put out Prestige stuff. They would put out new jazz stuff. The hallmark is the Status logo that sometimes replaces the new jazz or the Prestige logo, as well as an orange kind of label that they use, and very frequently just an incredibly noisy pressing in terms of a hiss, because they use low quality vinyl. Sounds atrocious. So the interesting thing, and why I decided to pick this up, is because you can tell whether it's been pressed on recycled vinyl because there's a texture in the vinyl that you can visibly see, and this did not have that. So that means this is really like the only way on 33 RPM to hear this music, I think. And it just so happens that this particular Status pressing does not have the hiss. So I was very excited to be able to finally get this and be able to spin it, on a more regular basis than me busting out that like sort of auxiliary turntable and hooking it all up and getting motivated to listen to 16 RPM records. All right, so just 2 more to show you. This next one was, I believe it's Superior Elevation. Went into so many different stores. I didn't always buy stuff. I really wanted to go into Face Records, but they're taking a break for June, I think, while the owners are traveling Japan. So, but anyway, Superior Elevation, I ended up grabbing Houston Person, Underground Soul on Prestige, stereo copy. Mark Levine is on it, Charles Boston, and Frank Jones. Again, I mentioned, because I've been DJing, I've been getting into a lot more of the soul stuff, and Houston Person has some great records on Prestige. So excited to find that. It was like $15. That was an easy decision. And the last one, a little bit unusual because I didn't buy it at a store. So I attended a Tyshawn Sorey show at the Jazz Gallery on Saturday night. He did 2 sets, one at 7:30 and one at 9:30. I attended the 7:30. And that was super cool. So I went with some of the guys from the Jazz Bums YouTube channel who were also in New York at the time. And yeah, it was just a really fantastic show. Particularly moving rendition of Members Don't Get Weary. VJ Iyer was amongst the attendees. He was not playing with Tyshawn Sorey on stage, but he was amongst the attendees, and that was kind of cool. You're like, all right, it feels like I went to the right show. But in any event, he was selling some of his records, and so the last one that I wanted to show you is this one. So this is not something that I had owned before. Tyshawn Sorey's The Susceptible Now. So yeah, haven't even cracked this open because I just got back like 2 days ago, and I've got a lot of vinyl now that I need to sort of pour through. So that's what I picked up in New York. It wasn't just a record shopping experience. I did see friends, and I did do the radio thing, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Even though it was rainy, it was still a lot of fun. Although my arms are frankly a little bit sore from hauling vinyl around the city as much as I did. But you know, that's the price that we pay. So that's it. Just wanted to do a little bit of a show and tell. I know I haven't been making as many videos lately, and I don't have an excuse for it. It's not that it isn't a priority or I haven't been thinking about it. I've definitely been aware that it's been a while, but man, just so many other, you know, life sometimes gets in the way. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up the pace. We'll see. Plenty of other topics coming up, including some interviews that I still need to get on the calendar. So anyway, don't you know, don't forget about me. I'm still out there. I'm still making videos, just maybe with a little bit less frequency. So thanks everyone for tuning in as always, and I'll see you next time.